Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life where you must decide what kind of force you're going to be. Are you going to let the world happen to you, or are you going to happen to the world? Let me tell you something that changes lives. You do not need permission to take control. You do not need a certificate, a blessing, or the stars to align. You simply need to decide and then act as if you're already in control. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't respond to who you are. It responds to who you believe you are. Act like the person who's already made it. Before the money, before the title, before the followers. Act like the person who's already there. Not to fake it, but to become it. Walk into every room like you belong there. Speak your vision like it's already unfolding. Carry yourself with the posture of someone who leads their life, not someone waiting to be led. You think greatness waits for the right moment? No, greatness creates the right moment, and it begins the moment you stand up and say, I am in control. Control isn't about circumstances, it's about mindset. You don't need the perfect situation, you need a powerful decision. Control isn't about what's happening around you, it's about what's happening inside you. You control how you react. Oh, control how you show up. You control your discipline, your vision, your belief. Storms may come, but a man or woman who acts as if they're in control will steer through them like they were born for it. Because they were. Uncertainty wins, period. Let me ask you, who do people follow in times of chaos? The loudest? The smartest? The richest? No. Follow the one who acts like they know the way. Confidence isn't a gift, it's a choice. When you act as if you're in control, people believe it. More importantly, you start to believe it. And belief is the seed of every breakthrough. You're not waiting on power. Power is waiting on you. Life is not a lottery ticket, it's a blueprint waiting to be claimed. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't luck. It's posture, it's decision, it's present. You don't wait for clarity to act, you act to gain clarity. You don't wait for courage to lead, you lead until courage shows up. You don't wait to feel in control, you act as if you are. And soon enough, the world adjusts. Step into the role. Now, this is your moment. This is your life. You are not an accident. You are not a bystander. You are a force. You are the architect. You are the commander of your future. So act like it. Speak like it. Live like it. Act as if you're in control, and soon enough you will be. Because when you decide to lead your life with authority, the universe has no choice but to follow your lead. Now go. Be the storm. Be the standard. Be the one who doesn't wait, because you've already decided you are in control. Before the world gives you anything, before it hands you a title, a role, a paycheck, or a round of applause, it watches how you carry yourself. It watches how you enter a room, how you speak, how you walk, how you hold your head, and how you respond when the pressure rises. Because people don't respond to your potential, they respond to your posture. They don't follow the quiet whisper of possibility, they follow the thunder of certainty. The truth is this, most people are waiting for something external to give them permission to feel powerful. They say, once I have the job, I'll feel confident. Once I've made the money, I'll feel worthy. Once people start respecting me, I'll show up differently. But that's not how it works. Power is never handed to you, it is claimed. You don't wait for the world to crown you, you crown yourself. And then the world starts to notice. Your perception of yourself shapes what others believe about you, not the other way around. Let me say that again. The way you see yourself trains the world on how to treat you. If you carry yourself like a leader, people start listening. If you carry yourself like a victim, people start overlooking you. If you carry yourself like you're lost, even the right people will walk away. But if you show up like someone who's certain of who they are, who walks with direction and purpose, suddenly the world opens up. Opportunities find you. Doors unlock. And it's not because the universe changed, it's because you did. When you act as if you're in control, even before you truly are, you activate something primal in the minds of those around you. Humans are wired to look for leadership. They're wired to follow strength. And when they see it in you, even if it's just the beginning of it, they respond to it. They lean in. They trust. They follow. Now let's be clear. This isn't about arrogance. This isn't about pretending to know it all. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard, one where your presence speaks before your words ever do. It's about owning your space. It's about deciding that your life is not going to be run by circumstances or opinions, but by your own unwavering vision of who you are becoming. Look around you. Truly look. The most influential people aren't always the smartest, the most educated, or the most talented. They're the ones who walk with intention. They decide how they will be perceived, and then they embody that version of themselves, fully, unapologetically, and consistently. They don't ask for permission to shine. They don't wait for the world to confirm their value. They declare it, and in doing so, they train the world to see it too. You have that same power right now, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready. Now, you can begin today to carry yourself like someone who matters, someone who's going somewhere, someone who owns their time, their choices, their energy, someone who's building a future on purpose. Because once you understand that perception is power, you'll stop waiting to feel powerful and start acting powerful. And when you do that long enough, something amazing happens. The act becomes real. The posture becomes natural. The illusion becomes truth. And suddenly, you're not just acting like you're in control, you are. And the world, it starts reflecting that back to you, not because you asked, but because you decided. Everything begins in the mind. The war is always won or lost there, first, before the results show up in your bank account, in your relationships, or in your career. They're already formed inside your thinking. That's why, if you want to be in control of your life, you must first take command of your mindset. You see, most people try to change their lives by rearranging the outside. They chase new opportunities, new jobs, new environments, new people, hoping that external shifts will fix internal chaos. But you cannot build a castle on shaky ground. And your mindset is the foundation of everything. If your mind is weak, nothing you build will stand. But if your mind is strong, if it is trained, focused, disciplined, then no storm can shake you. You'll bend, but you won't break, because you know who you are. You know where you're going. To act as if you're in control, you must first believe you have that control. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned to rule your own thoughts. You've learned that fear doesn't get to sit in the driver's seat. You've learned that doubt can knock on the door, but it doesn't get to come in. You've learned to separate emotion from decision and vision from distraction. That kind of mindset is not an accident. It's a choice. The daily one you wake up every morning with a decision to make. Do I lead my mind today, or do I let it lead me? The average person doesn't even realize this choice exists. They wake up and react to whatever their mind offers. They believe every anxious thought. They follow every fear. They let their feelings dictate their behavior and then wonder why nothing changes. But if you're going to act as if you're in control, you can't live like that. You have to be deliberate, ruthless even, with what you allow inside the gates of your mind. Every thought is either building you or breaking you. Every belief is either fueling your progress or feeding your limits. And it's your job, no one else's, to decide which ones stay and which ones go. The greatest leaders, the most disciplined athletes, the sharpest entrepreneurs, they all have this in common. They've mastered the art of self-command. When fear shows up, they don't panic. They refocus. When obstacles appear, they don't spiral. They strategize. They don't let circumstances rewrite the script in their mind. They write the script. They direct the narrative. And as a result, they create outcomes others only dream about. This is what separates the driven from the drifting. One has made a decision to be the author of their inner world. The other is simply reacting to life, tossed around by whatever voice screams the loudest that day. But you are not average, and that means you do not have the luxury of passive thinking. You are the kind of person who trains their thoughts like a warrior. You are the kind of person who speaks to yourself like someone going somewhere. And when your mind gets weak, as it will, you remind it who's in charge. You've got to be the coach in your own head, the general, the leader, the voice that says, we're not going to quit. We're not going to shrink. We're going to rise. We're going to fight. And we're going to win. Because that's what we do. And when you learn to command your mindset like that, you change your life. Not just because you think better thoughts, but because those thoughts lead to better actions. And better actions lead to better results. And better results, they reinforce the belief that you are, in fact, in control. It becomes a cycle of power, a loop of momentum, a feedback system of strength, all because you made one decision to take ownership of what happens in your own mind. You don't need the world to agree with you. You don't need anyone to believe in you. But you do need to take the wheel in your own head, because the mind left unled will always wander toward weakness. But a mind that's led with vision, discipline, and intention, that mind will move mountains. And that kind of mind is yours to create, starting now. People don't follow the most talented person in the room. They don't follow the one with the perfect resume, the fancy degrees, or the loudest voice. They follow the one who moves with certainty, the one who walks in like they know exactly what they're doing, even if they're still figuring it out as they go. Why? Because certainty is magnetic. It makes people feel safe. It makes them feel focused. It gives them permission to believe in something bigger than the chaos they're stuck in. When someone shows up with certainty, it silences doubt, not just in their own mind, but in everyone else's too. You could be saying something they've heard 100 times before, but if you say it with conviction, they'll hear it like it's the first time. It's the power of certainty. It commands attention. It earns trust. And it moves people. And when you move like that, people will follow. Most people don't understand this. They think influence comes from credentials or experience. But the truth is, influence begins the moment you believe in your own voice, the moment you stop second-guessing yourself, the moment you show up and speak with the energy of someone who's already decided they are worth listening to. That's what people respond to. That's what leadership looks like. Not flawless execution, but firm direction. Not always being right, but always being committed. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance screams. Confidence is quiet but undeniable. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It just is. It's in your body language. It's in your tone. It's in the way you stay grounded when everyone else is panicking. It's in the way you say, I've got this, even when the plan isn't fully clear, because you know you'll figure it out. You trust yourself, and that trust becomes contagious. You cannot lead if you don't have that. You cannot expect others to believe in you if you're constantly hesitating, constantly seeking validation, constantly needing a pat on the back before you take the next step. If you're waiting for someone else to approve your power, you'll be waiting your entire life. You have to act as if you belong. You have to act as if you've already earned the right to speak, to decide, to move. Here's what most don't realize. Confidence doesn't always come before the action. A lot of times it's born through the action. You decide to move. You decide to speak. You decide to take the lead. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Certainty is not about being right all the time. It's about being willing to be wrong and still standing tall, still leading, still choosing forward momentum instead of hesitation. That's why people follow those who move with purpose, not because they're perfect, but because they're certain, they're clear, they're consistent. And that clarity gives others the strength to step up too. Certainty is a force. It inspires, it elevates, it influences, not by demanding, but by demonstrating. And it's something you cultivate from the inside out. If you want to make an impact in this world, you have to stop asking for permission to lead. You have to stop waiting until you feel fully ready. Nobody feels fully ready. The people you look up to, they're doing it scared. They're doing it unsure. But they do it anyway, because their mission is bigger than their fear. They understand that certainty isn't about knowing every answer. It's about knowing you'll find the answer. That's what makes people trust you. That's what makes you influential. And once you get this, once you lock into this mindset, you become unstoppable. You speak differently, you walk differently. People listen when you talk, not because you forced them to, but because you made them believe that you believe. And in a world full of noise, that kind of certainty cuts through everything. So start now, decide who you are, decide what you stand for, and move like someone who's already at the destination, even if you're still on the journey. Because influence doesn't wait for permission. It flows from the one who's already chosen to own the room before they step into it. And when you move like that, people will follow. Everything you want begins in the unseen. Before it ever shows up in your hands, it has to exist in your mind. Before you can live it, you have to believe it. And more than that, you have to act like it, even when you don't have the evidence, especially when you don't. Because the world doesn't change first, you do. The reality you experience tomorrow is shaped by the way you think, speak, and move today. There is a powerful principle that most people miss. What starts as an illusion becomes reality. The version of you that has the life you want, the results you dream about, the power, the peace, the freedom, that version doesn't show up by accident. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you create through consistent alignment, through showing up today as if you're already that person. You think confidence will magically arrive the day everything goes right? No. Confidence is built in the days when nothing is certain, but you act with certainty anyway. You think discipline shows up when it's easy? No. Discipline is forged when nobody's watching and you choose to follow through anyway. That's how the illusion becomes real. You keep acting like the person you want to become, and eventually there's no more pretending. You've actually become that person. This is the difference between those who talk about change and those who embody it. The talkers wait until they feel ready. The achievers act as if they already are, and through repetition, through belief, through behavior, that as if becomes I am. That illusion, repeated long enough, becomes the truth. Hey, you've seen it before. The person who walks in the room like they own it before they ever really do. The one who speaks like a leader before anyone gave them the title. The one who behaves like a champion long before they've won a single trophy. And then what happens? The world begins to respond. People listen. Opportunities show up. Momentum builds. And the image in their mind starts to match the life in front of them. It didn't happen by chance. It happened because they aligned their identity before they ever had the external proof. They didn't wait for validation to step into power. They decided they were that person and then lived in agreement with that decision every single day. This is where most people fail. They want to change, but they keep acting like their old self. They want success, but still move like they're unsure. They want respect, but talk like they don't deserve to be heard. And so the life they want never shows up, because their actions keep reinforcing the life they're trying to leave behind. But the ones who transform, they do the opposite. They build the identity first. They act like it's already real. They walk like someone with purpose. They speak with vision. They move with presence, not because they're faking it, but because they're choosing it. They understand that reality will always catch up to consistent belief, that if they hold the line long enough, the world around them has to adjust. Because the mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's rehearsed. It simply builds according to what it's fed. If you keep feeding it fear, doubt, and hesitation, it will build you a life to match. But if you feed it strength, clarity, and conviction, it will build a reality to reflect that too. You have to be bold enough to live into the person you want to become before the world agrees with you. You have to act like it's already yours, like the vision you carry is inevitable, like the future is just catching up to what you've already decided internally. And if you do that consistently, relentlessly, with unwavering focus, then eventually the illusion becomes impossible to distinguish from truth, not because it was magic, but because you showed up in alignment long enough to make it real. So if you want transformation, stop waiting. Step into the character, play the role, be the version of yourself that already has what you're after, and watch how fast the world rearranges to make it so. You don't have to wait for proof. You just have to walk in it until the world catches up. Control is not something you wait for. It's something you decide. It's not a mood. It's not a vibe. It's not some magical energy that floats in when the timing is right. Control is a commitment, a choice to say, I may not be able to change everything around me, but I will not let anything outside of me dictate who I am or how I show up. That's the real difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck. The ones who rise have made the internal decision to lead, even when they don't feel like it, especially when they don't feel like it, because they understand that feelings are fleeting, but decisions shape destiny. You can't rely on motivation. It comes and goes. But discipline sticks. Discipline is what kicks in when motivation fades. And the root of discipline is deciding, this is who I am now. You want to act like you're in control? Then stop waiting to feel like it, start being it. You think people who build empires, win championships, or carry influence feel powerful every day? No, most of the time they're tired, they're overwhelmed. They're doubting themselves just like everyone else. But they don't let that stop them, because they've already decided that their actions will not be dictated by emotion, by setbacks, or by the chaos around them. They've drawn a line. And on the other side of that line is control, earned through choice, not chance. Control doesn't mean everything goes your way. It doesn't mean you always win. It doesn't mean life bends perfectly to your plans. Control means you own your response, that no matter what the world throws at you, you respond from who you've chosen to be, not from how you happen to feel in the moment. That's strength. That's power. That's leadership. Every day you wake up, you're going to face uncertainty. You're going to face resistance. You're going to face voices, internal and external, telling you you're not enough, you're not ready, you can't handle it. And every day you have to choose control anyway. Not because it's easy, but because the cost of giving it up is too high. When you give up control, you hand your life over to circumstance. You let your schedule, your mood, your bank account, your inbox, or other people's opinions take the driver's seat. And you wonder why you keep ending up somewhere you didn't plan to be. But when you reclaim it, when you decide, I'm the one writing the script today, everything changes. You don't need perfect conditions to make powerful moves. You need commitment, you need presence, you need ownership. The people who win are not the ones who feel the best, they're the ones who decide the hardest. Over and over again, no matter what. You might not be able to control what happened yesterday. You might not be able to control what people think about you, what gets posted online, what the market does, or what storms show up in your life. But you can control your intention. You can control your energy. You can control whether you rise or fold. That's what separates the masters from the mediocre. And the most beautiful part, the moment you decide you're in control, the moment you actually own it and stop waiting for something outside of you to give you permission, that's when everything starts to shift. Your mindset sharpens, your body follows, your decisions become cleaner, your presence becomes stronger, and the world begins to respond differently to you. Because people can feel it when you've made that choice. It's not fake, it's not forceful, it's solid, grounded. It says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and nothing outside of me has the power to shake that. That kind of control isn't loud, it doesn't have to prove itself, it just is, unshakable. So stop waiting for control to feel like confidence. Start acting like someone who already owns the outcome. Control the moment, control your attitude, control your next step. And when you stack enough of those steps, you look back and realize you didn't just survive, you built something, you became someone. You didn't react to life, you let it. And it all started the moment you stopped waiting and decided.